Is everything working? Seems like it is. Now, time could just grind away until art makes sense. Hiya. Oh, that's the wrong brush. Alright, we start the quick poses and now it's just go until we just get in the groove, I guess. Let's see. This. I still need to figure out the fundamentals, like what shapes and all the things. I can do shortcuts for the arms to make triangles, but like the torsos are difficult. Limbs are triangles, yeah. But like capturing the angle of the heads and stuff, difficult. Maybe I should just make the lines. Where do you start? Would it be like the line of action? Whatever they call it? Is that better? Then like, it's supposed to be like a 3D-ish shape. Start from the torso. I think for me it makes more sense, at least for me, to start at the torso, because I seem to understand it more. It's like, I like having the center of mass down first. Then, let's see. Tracing out the outside part. Because the important part is just to like get the gist of it. Because the main point of all of this isn't really to get the shapes down, but it's kind of like building a repertoire in the mind of what looks right and what doesn't look right. So then by doing this a lot, eventually my hypothesis is that I'll just get good enough at seeing what poses are that I can just like kind of eyeball it myself and start from scratch. The, what's it called, end goal of being able to draw from memory, that's the artist's dream, sure. Problem is that for me, I'm still just stuck on stick figures. Still terrible at all this. I mean, maybe if I erased it, but I'm trying to just get to a point where I don't have to even bother with erasing it. Just kind of like from the start, get going. But that's so difficult. I wonder how long it would take. I mean, there's only one way to find out, right? Just grind at it until you either get results or you don't. And then when you do that, you'll find out. But man, it's like, for people who make a career off art completely, I definitely don't envy them, because it's such a slog getting to at least the point when you can actually render, because there's so many steps I've been realizing in trying to learn this. Because it's one thing to be able to do all the line work for the poses, the art, and basically the outline of the figure. But it's something else entirely to be able to color it all. It's like a completely different skill set. it's something they definitely don't talk about when you're trying to learn how to draw anything. People are like, oh, just pick up the pencil. But you know, you can't color with just a pencil. Sure, you can draw, but like that is extreme simplification. It's also, I think, the reason why people who hear that are so inflamed, because it implies that art is something that easy to do. And while drawing in general is, getting to the point of being able to create beautiful rendered drawings, that's definitely not something you can do just by picking up a pen or pencil. There's so much that you have to basically composite together in terms of both knowledge and techniques. Like, if you want to just color, you can leave the drawings with a flat color. But then if you want lighting, you have to understand how lighting works, and then that's all directional based. But then not only is it directional based, you have to understand how shadows work, and then where the light will fall on 3D shapes, as well as like where the actual highlights and everything will be. And that's something you can't really just pick up by grabbing a pen or pencil. You really have to like study it. I mean, I guess you can always make the argument that you can study things by using a pencil, for example. But honestly, how do you even study shading with a pencil? Because like you have to understand shading techniques then. Like how do you, there's like hashing, there's like solid colors, there's dotting, spackling, I forget what it is. But honestly, there's so many moving pieces that, well, I can't condone using AI art for everything, or it's not even AI art. To be honest, AI doesn't create art. What it does is it just creates an image based on a prompt. It's literally just generation. Art, by definition, is something that is trying to capture intention, vision, and like the way one sees the world. You can't capture how you see the world if you just tell something to do it for you. That's definitely not the same thing. I'm getting side tangent. Anyways, art has like so many moving pieces to it. And it takes just so long to get to the point where you can be satisfied if your goal is to make a rendered drawing. Like, I think you could maybe get to a decent point in a month if you just grind at piece by piece. Like maybe if you focus on line art, then you get decent at that. Then you focus on coloring, you get decent at that. Then you focus on shading and highlighting. Then at the end you pull everything together into a piece. But the problem is that if you want to do all of it at once, you definitely can't really do it. It's just too much. It's like, what, trying to learn calculus when you don't even know multiplication, division, or even addition. But the problem is that learning multiplication, addition, and everything is so boring. Well, for most people, like I'm fine grinding out stuff because I'm just used to grinding out boring things. But I can see why people just literally give up. And I suppose that's also why imposter syndrome is such a big part of artists usually. Because I think the problem is that, like, it seems for some people to be a miracle that they can even draw at all. Because especially for self-taught individuals, I can imagine they probably see it as like magic, and then they worry that they'll lose the spark or lose the skills because the foundation that they built it on is very not sloppy but shaky. And no matter how much validation one gets, there's always that little doubt in the back of your head, I guess, about whether or not you really can do it. It takes a certain kind of delusion, I guess, in order to really believe that you can continue to use the skill that you've learned if you've taught it to yourself. Because then you also wonder, like, will people like it? If you're just drawing for yourself, then it doesn't really matter. Because the act of drawing itself is what you're finding enjoyment in. But if your goal is to, like, create pieces for people and maybe like doing commission work and everything, I can only imagine how difficult that would be. Because you have to worry about whether or not you like it, and then whether or not the client likes it, and then there's the issue of whether what you like and the client likes matches up at all. Not only that, but like whether it's even worth it to keep going. I don't know. It's just the more that I've gotten into art, even though I've only really like seriously tried doing this in the past month or so, but it's like the tip of an iceberg. The more you dive into it, the more you realize just how much there is. It's why people say art is a lifelong journey, and why even the greats of the distant past were always dissatisfied with everything that they did. Or not everything, but like how it's difficult to accept what other people find attractive about your work. It just seems to be that for artists, the vision in the mind just is so perfect, and then trying to recreate it, you're just always falling short of what you can see. And then that causes definitely a mental dissonance that can really take a blow at your self-esteem if you wrap up your sense of identity with your skill set. And really, that's the dangerous part. But at the same time, how can you not really identify with your work? For me, like these sketches right here, I'm just doing to throw away. But I can imagine, oh shoot. But I can imagine how if you had, wait, what the, oh, I'm zoomed in a lot, that's the problem. But I can imagine how if you, what was I saying? Something about art tying up with everything. Oh yeah. If you spend a lot of time on this piece of work, you want it to do well and you want it to be well, since it's just like a giant sunk cost thing. That's primarily why I want to get fast at doing this because the longer you spend on something, the more you identify with it because of the fact that so much of your life is put into it. And by life, I mean time, but like time is what life is made of. So if it's a piece of work that requires you to do a lot of time, then you're gonna end up just inevitably associating yourself with it. And that just leads to so many issues. Like, what if someone hates it? What if everyone hates it? What if you hate it later by looking back on your work and comparing it to your current skill set? I'm primarily a writer, so I can understand a few things because writing and shares a lot with drawing in that it's both a creative skill and you face creative blocks. But I've managed to mature enough as a writer to where I can just literally sit down and churn out a chapter as long as I have the time to do it and basically have enough mental energy. Like, as long as I haven't pulled an all-nighter, I can usually sit down and write a chapter or two. Even if I pull an all-nighter, I can at least chip away at it. The efficiency will be much less, but it'll work. For me though, I've just basically split the process up. I think that when it comes to any creative endeavor, there are really two parts that you have to take into account as well as prioritize. Well, you can... Oh, let me describe what it is first. So basically, my perspective when it comes to creating is that there is the raw creation, which is where you just use your skill to put form to what you have in your mind. Then there's the refining process, where you take what you have created, the raw material from using your skill, and then you put it into a more orderly format that actually fits what you have envisioned. Because you see, creation by itself is a very, very messy process, and it's also contradictory. The moment you try to put order to creation, you will often find yourself tripping, because the parts of yourself that run creation and also judging whether or not something fits a certain criteria are very much opposed and opposite to each other. If you try basically to both create something good and just create in general, like if you set quality as an initial target, right, then odds are you're gonna find yourself stuck in a sort of paralysis, because you will not be able to judge properly what is good and what is not in the middle of creating it. Like, you can't tell if something's gonna be a good circle if you don't even have a line down yet. And then it might be sloppy, but you can fix it up along the way. The problem is that when you're creating and then you're trying to judge at the same time, you don't have the metrics down yet. There's just so much that your brain is trying to judge, assess, and put together, while at the same time creating and pulling out, synthesizing, for example. And doing that will often cause a disconnect. You're basically fighting yourself in the process. while there might be some people who can do it, the problem is that for, I'm assuming, a large majority of people, they definitely can't. And that's the big issue, or not issue, but the dilemma people probably face. If you look at something and then you think it's terrible, but that something is yours, and you also did it to the best of your ability, then you're stuck wondering, well, what the heck do I do now then? Because if this isn't good, and yet I put all my effort into it, then what do I do next? How can I even do anything next? To that, I say you are focusing on the wrong thing. Like I said, it goes back to that two-step, or not two-step, but the two-fold process. Creation is messy, and odds are what is initially formed will definitely not look good, correct, or even be consumable. Like, it'll be very, very ugly. But that's the point. You want to get a good chunk of that spark captured, because creativity is a spark. It's not a flame just yet. The flame comes when you are feeding it, but you want to let the spark come first. And in order for that spark to come, you have to allow room. Like a small spark and a small flame will be put out by even the faintest of breeze, and then your thoughts are that breeze when it comes to the creative process. If you start letting your ego and just, when I say ego, I mean like your sense of identity. If you start interfering with the creative process and trying to force it along and push it along, then you often will find yourself failing to create anything. Or you will be completely dissatisfied with what you're creating. The reason for that is that, well, I explained it a bit already, you're just at odds with each other. What you want and what is being produced will very rarely align, at least initially. You'll get close, maybe. If you're lucky, you'll get maybe 90% of the way there. The odds are you'll just get like a rough sketch of the general concept, but nowhere near good enough for a final portion. That's why you need that second step, or the second process, which is to refine it. In order to refine it, you rely upon your analytical skills and the trained eye and experience you have from both your theory and knowledge base. You see, when it comes to creating, you have the skill itself of the actual, like, raw creation. For example, here it'd be just drawing the lines. But you also have the ability to see and judge. Because even though you're drawing the lines and then putting to form what you have in your head, you're only gonna get so close in a certain time period. Especially if you focus just on creating and not on the actual process of creating in accordance to particular vision or objective. Therefore, you need to be able to... Shoot, what was my train of thought? I kind of lost it. Something, creating... Oh man, I must be tired. Usually I'm better at maintaining my train of thought. Then again, I was up super early today. Instead of the usual 6, 7 a.m., I got up at like 3 because of the thunderstorm. How am I doing right now in terms of assimilating this? Does art make sense yet? Kind of. The hips are... what? A upside down art? What I don't comprehend yet is the shape of the upper torso. Is it just a box? Can I just make it a rectangular box, I wonder? So if I do like that, but it's not a box because it's like a, what's the word? Triangular a bit too. Some people start with the head, then they go like down to get the torso and then the other portions. But I think if I do that, I tend to always make everything else wrong. I have to adjust the head anyways. For me personally, I think starting with the torso and then the waist, definitely the go-to, because it just makes sense for me. Shoulders are separate from the torso. I still don't understand the knees, I think, and the turning of the body. Also, talking while streaming is pretty difficult. There's a lot of... it's very easy to just fall into dead air, I can imagine. Right now, I'm pretty tired, but I've always been a bit good at just like allowing my train of thoughts to continue. I joke a lot with my friends that I'm kind of like an LLM myself, or an AI, in that I'm always improving my next thought. What I am thinking of at the moment is always based on what has just happened in the previous moment, because I have learned that unlike many people, I have no internal dialogue. When people say to think, I have to actively sit down and think. I don't get the luxury of having already been thinking at the time with this mysterious second voice in my head, for example, that is always like, oh no, what should I do next? Or oh no, is this good or not? Instead, it's just all me in here. Nothing but Mr. Happy, as I would go by now. That's also something else. Happy Vainglory. What a title. I wish I could call myself vain, but there seems to already be someone else who is going by Vain, a sort of demon lord. So I guess I'm stuck as Mr. Happy. I mean, my goal is to spread a bit of happiness in life, so I guess that is fine. But it definitely is a bit unfortunate. Oh yeah, so sleepy. Kind of want to crash already, but still a bit too early over here. So just gonna keep chipping away at these gesture drawings till anatomy makes sense somehow or another. This is kind of like, you know, pray into whatever's up there, that it'll just magically click. But I mean, your brain is kind of like your own deity. Like, how do you even actually learn something, you know? You just kind of read it, experience it, and just hope you understand it. There's ways to get better at understanding and analyzing, but actually learning and remembering things is kind of a miracle, don't you think? Like, how can you be sure you'll remember it properly? Whether you're taking a test or learning a new skill. Memory itself is kind of a miracle. And especially because of the fact that if I remember correctly, memory works by recreating the experience, which is why you can strengthen the mental connections by repeating it, because you just repeat it and then create it again and again and again. Where was I even going with all this? Don't know. Probably learning, talking about praying that this just magically works. Oh yeah, it's a similar theory to just listening to foreign language tracks in your sleep in the hopes that your brain will magically comprehend it. I have tried it personally, never worked for me. Might work for other people, but it seems like my brain's not wired like that. I have to put in some conscious effort to actually work on things. Oh, hey Lambda, how's it going? I'm just practicing my art skills and grinding gesture drawings. So basically like speeding everything up so I just get the actual gist of the pose. I would show the references on screen, but I think that I would get banned from many things. Oh yeah, and thanks. Good morning to you too. I forget that you're like literally on the opposite time zone from me. Yeah, basically. I'm trying to burn the... what's the word? Silhouettes and the... basically what looks right into my head. And then I'm hoping that eventually it'll just become like kind of muscle memory, so that I can just rough out the sketches and then from there work on rendering and coloring, because right now I just suck at... I'm still stuck on the line art phase. rendering, coloring, shading, all that stuff, all foreign knowledge to me right now. But I'm also just doing this and then practicing my ability to yap during streams, you know? Being able to just talk, ramble about certain topics, and just trying to prevent dead air. Yeah, art is I had a whole rant about it earlier about how people say just pick up a pencil, but they are very much mischaracterizing all of the steps and the iceberg that goes into if, for example, your goal is to make a proper colored and rendered sketch. Because there's like coloring, there's shading, there's line art, there's texturing, there's understanding 3D shapes, there's understanding the way the shadows and the light, or the light cast shadows. Bunch of stuff. But for me, I'm just focusing right now on the line art stage, because I'm planning to turn my stories to a webtoon or a webcomic. I'll probably just go with the classic or more classic black and white manga style at first, because if I wait to understand rendering, that'll be like literally years out. But I think that it will be reasonable to get up to at least a competent level of line art and black and white. It's just a matter of like grinding away at it so that it just becomes second nature. Because that's what I did for writing. Like when I originally tried to learn how to write, I just literally copied stories verbatim and did a bunch of fan fiction. And then after that, it became sort of like a second sense or intuition. And that intuition is, I think, what's most important to get. Because with the intuition, you can analyze everything and then see what's working, what's not working. But if you don't know what you don't know, then you're just stuck in the dark. I'm also trying to, on my YouTube channel, I am doing a series of like acapella song covers. I'm gonna try to do 100 of them and then see what happens at the end of that. Because I recently got an I don't know if I got it from someone or if it just came to mind, but it's like just degrees of magnitude. Do it once, people don't care. Do it 10 times, people will still doubt that you're gonna stick around. But do it 100 times and then you have some staying power. Ideally it'd be like 1,000 times, but that's not just effort, but that actually takes real life time. And yes, I am definitely grinding. That is my main skill in life. Being able to grind as well as assimilating. Oh, that I am very much aware of, because my mom literally just had laryngitis about 2 months ago. And her entire voice was out of commission for a solid, the entire few months. So I've gotten many tips from her and then warnings about what not to do. I appreciate the concern though. I'll double flag that now. But I'm also just like trying to not, what's the word? Strain myself when I'm singing. My goal in life, in general, my goal in life for skills is that it should be created to the point where it's like as natural as breathing, where it takes you no effort to do it. When you reach that level, you can do it like as long as you want. Oh yeah. Throat polyps definitely would come from talking a lot. That's also why I imagine they restricted, for example, the Hollow Stars and Hololive talents in the beginning to just a few hours, or I think to an hour. It's literally to build up muscle and stamina, because it's also muscle that you have to train. So I'm just keeping talking streams to probably an hour or so every other day. Oh really? Dang, I have not been keeping up with any news because I have been grinding on my own stuff. Very behind on any sorts of hollow news. Only the very scant information I can perceive on Twitter from all of my oops and mutuals. And then whoever shows up on my For You page. But enough about me, Lambda. How are you doing? Oh yeah, I remember back in the day hearing a lot about the JP girls getting it too. But I think that's just like the life of a singer and someone who just uses their voice so much. It's kind of like a hazard of the job. But it is also very important to keep in mind, yes. But I mean, that's kind of true of everything. Like, if you type a lot too, you have to be careful of not overstraining yourself and then getting, what, RSI or whatever the wrist injury is. Then if you draw a lot, you gotta be careful and then avoid shrimping and everything, or you get scoliosis or potential just wrist. Oh yeah, carpal tunnel and like other posture stuff. Oh, and you're still feverish and sick? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Lambda. Sending you good wishes and good health again. Hopefully that clears up. I think you said a cold maybe? If it is, then I hope it goes away soon. If it's worse than that, then I still hope it goes away soon, but make sure to rest up properly. Let's see, what else is on my mind? Yeah, just working on this. Oh, if it's been 2 weeks, you definitely should at least get a checkup. Has it been like 2 weeks to the day? And have you been feeling better at all? Because if you've been feeling the same or worse, I definitely would go get a checkup. Especially if you've been actively resting and everything. Oh, true. Some people get hit by a cold and get laid off for 3 weeks, and other people will get COVID and then will be fine in a day or two. But you know your immune system best, so your judgment call on that. For me personally, though, I definitely would have gone to check. Oh, that's a given then. If you have not been resting, if you've been doing a lot of chores and work, yeah. That's understandable then, that's the fact that it's been lasting 2 weeks. Because you haven't had the ability to get proper rest yet. Probably if you haven't slept well too. Tomorrow might be a day where I just don't talk the whole day again. I think I'm also slowly getting something, because it's been raining a lot over here recently, and I have been making the unwise decision of standing in the rain outside and exercising. But we'll see. Let's see, how long have I been streaming? 40 minutes, not that bad. I can go a bit longer. Yes, it is indeed full of yuckies. I always forget this fact until I get hit by the rain, and then I get sick, and then I remember it, and I always forget it again. Because it's like the old, probably better this time. Yeah, I will remember this point for the future. It is a bit too late now, but I'll remember this for the future. showering after the rain will be good to prevent any potential illnesses. Because rain isn't actually clean at all, since it's just like the actual evaporated water from all over. Very sus. Could be anything in that stuff. I will have to say, after doing a bunch of these gesture drawings, I seem to have somewhat assimilated the female form more than the male form, because I tend to default to female silhouettes. I wonder if that's because the training data set I have is very female oriented in terms of the gender ratio. It's interesting, but I guess that people tend to draw girls more often anyways. Yeah, it's all about getting one thing down first. Lessons learned can be transferred and adapted. Better to have something than nothing. And you'll get nothing if you try to get everything. It's like what that old saying, you can't save everyone, but you can save one person. Or the starfish story about the little boy who found a bunch of beached starfishes. Someone questioned him about why he's bothering to throw so many starfishes back, since it won't make a difference because there's so many. But you can make a difference to one person, and really that's all that really matters. But you just hanging out then, Lambda? Just vibing, getting ready for the day? I'm assuming you probably have work? Question mark? Feel free to stick around as long or as little as you like. FYI, I'll probably be only on for another... Oh yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate people dropping by just to say hi. Since we're like on opposite time zones, it's always hard to stick around and catch each other. Unless I am either staying up super late and wrecking my sleep schedule because of some reason or another. Or you happen to be streaming, I think, your time super late. Appreciate it though. I'm trying to make this streaming gig an actual thing, because I think that I can do it. Since I'm pretty good at maintaining a continuous flow of thought and just like kind of monologuing. It's just that right now in particular, I'm very tired because I don't know if you were here for it earlier, but I got up like at 3 a.m. my time this morning since my parents had to get up early to drive back home, and I saw them off. So I'm operating on very little sleep. But I also have no major tasks tomorrow morning, so I'll just probably sleep in late and catch up on that. Resetting the sleep schedule and all that jazz. Because I'll be heading towards Germany next week too, to go to Dokumi and meet Felix. As well as just hang out. And my sleep schedule is already going to get wrecked from that 12-hour flight, so like, eh. I'm just taking advantage of the time I have to be productive and get all my things lined up before I get going. By things, I mean like my story chapter updates and then whatever other tasks and chores I need to do. problem with having many skills is finding the time to practice them all. Sometimes I wish I had either more hours in the day or more mental and physical stamina, just so I can keep grinding away at the skills. When you reach above average, it gets very frustrating finding time to bring that above average to great. Satisfying, but very time intensive. The fatigue is settling in. Gotta get into the habit of streaming an hour though. Like with most skills in my life, I like getting to a point where I have a baseline. And I want my baseline for streaming to be an hour. Because I think that's probably just enough time to be worth tuning into. And personally, in terms of the energy management, being able to continually keep it up without overstraining myself or burning out in any way. Because like I mentioned earlier, I like getting it to where it's effortless. Because when something is effortless, you can do it for a longer period of time. And if you have a skill set that's already at least good, it's more beneficial to be able to use it more frequently than it is to try to spend the effort to do great. Kind of like how in an RPG, you don't want to blow all your MP on that one super powerful skill that kills only one enemy and clears one encounter if you're level grinding. You want to very efficiently allocate your resources so that you can keep killing things in one shot while not having to completely stop and recover. Treating life like that and thinking that for most tasks you have a very much set resource meter, whether that's like mental power, MP, or physical stamina, like in gacha games, stamina. It helps to frame your daily action around that. Because oftentimes it'll be more beneficial to have more attempts at something than it is to do one thing. Because there are no metal slimes or high XP monsters in real life. Or if they are, please tell me what they are. very efficient with my time. That would be fun. What do I have to do tomorrow? Definitely have to start stockpiling more my story chapters. Since I probably can't write them on the plane. Well, I mean, I guess I could write them on the plane. But it will be uncomfortable and I won't have internet access. So I probably can't update it too, because it'll be like a 12-hour flight. And then the update schedule will be all sorts of messed up when I'm in Germany. So the ideal thing would be to get and schedule it all this week. Because I'll be there for like a week. So then, if I update every other day, that's 4 chapters. So I have to make sure I have 4 chapters squared away for my stories. I don't have stories. Well, if it's draining me, I just have to let some things drop. In life, if you're juggling a lot of things, it's good to just let everything fall every once in a while and pick up what drops, because oftentimes people will have thrown things for you to juggle that you didn't intend to in the first place. So it's good to take inventory of everything now and again. Oh man. Oh, this is convenient. I think this is the last song on the album. When this song finishes, I'll probably end the stream too. So let's see. These have been 30-second sketches. If I have been doing this for an hour, that is 2 per minute times 60, 120. So I have gained 120 XP points. Probably. What was that saying? For Bruce Lee, 10,000, right? He is the one who does something 10,000 times. I wonder if this will be... if there will be one point where it just clicks. I'm assuming so, because by doing this, I'm training my mind to comprehend the different silhouettes and also like balance and counterbalance of everything. Oh, sleep, my old friend, soon. Let's finish this one. Oh, hey, the song ended too. Perfect. Okay, we'll call it here. If there's anybody in the chat, take care. have a good day. Wish you well. I'll come back maybe tomorrow. Not sure. Either way, appreciate everyone from stopping by. You too, Lambda, if you're still here. And then take care.